Crockett. Vice, Miami.
ジョーンズ、お前得意先と会議じゃないのか。遅れるぞ。
はい。
タクシー使えよ。
はい。
あいつ今日は妙に元気だな。
あと1本で過ぎます。
もしかしてこれ飲んだのか。
お待たせしました。治療です。
この惑星では妙に力がみなぎる時もある。
俺も飲んじゃおうかな。
ボスケのエナジーアイアンバース。
Red is the perfect one. Black is the brooding bad boy. Green is the clown, and yellow, well, she's the girl. So what are you supposed to be?
I'm Scottish!
My point is, apparently, the XXXY chromosomes are insufficient. Because when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice. Either the one you're assigned, the one you choose to be, whatever it is. And so now, so now just to tie a bow on this, I say to you, somewhere I think I read that the United States was a land where we have the pursuit of happiness.
Hi, my name is Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm
We don't see groups. We don't see victims. We don't see people we want to exploit. What we see is potential.
You're outnumbered, Aragorn. You need more men.
There are none.
There are those who dwell in the mountain.
Keep your mouth shut, kid. Never speak about me. Ever in your life. Watch yourself around me. Because you'll be out of here quick. Let me take my picture. Huh? Yeah, shut your mouth.
She's getting stiff. She's so wobbly.
Too slow and too stiff. You're stiff as a board.
Again, it's not hard to pan.
That's cold.
Touch it. Fuck. It's stone cold.
Here, hold on. Let me get my toes on my belt and my shoe. Huh? Yeah, shut your mouth.
Yeah, do me a favor.
Get out!
Bill Murray's character.
To catch a varmint, you gotta be a varmint.
Right? Now? Yes, right. Are you sure?
I used to drag here back in high school.
Conor McGregor.
It's exactly a quarter mile away from me. On green, I'm going for it.
现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋。拉力！
Cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, Big Mac, Whopper, Big Mac, Big.
Can't stream this. You can't stream this. You can't stream this. You can't stream this. My content, it hits so hard, makes you say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing us with a mind to rhyme and cause a fuss. Feels good, we know you're fatted, a super dope homeboy, street fly rapping, I'm known as such, and this is a copyright you just can't touch. I told you, man, good boy, you can't stream this. Yeah, that's how I'm litigating, and you know, can't stream this. Look at my past, man, you can't stream this. Yo, talk shit in the chat and get banned. You can't stream this. Fresh new artists and fans. You got it like that, pretend you're here to dance. So move within your seat. And what do I count? And choke on his beat while it's rolling. Hold on, litigate a little bit. Let them know what's going on. Like that. Like that. Cold on a mission, so fall on back. Let them know that you're too much. And this is content they can't touch. Yo, I told you can't stream this. You can't stream this. Stop. Ginger time, go with the flow. Ethan said, if you can't conform, then you're probably dead. So wave your hammers in the air, both of you score, run your fingers through your head. This is it. Time for dinner. Dance to this, and you're gonna get thicker. Move, slide, your rump. Romance, get her uglies ready to bump, 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 bump. Yeah, can't stream this. Look, man, you can't stream this. You probably think this is side of hype. You can't stream this. Boy, this is quad stream. Get your spit right. Can't stream this. Can't stream this.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up Is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
and welcome. We're back again to talk about Power Rangers. Don't worry, this probably isn't going to change anytime soon. Welcome to Cidertalk. And hi, it's me. I'll get better at timing that. But anyway, just like the title suggests, here's the Bounding into Comics article. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank you for being here. I know it's a messy Thursday for some folks up here on the, northeastern end of the continent. Of a hurricane headed through. So I may disappear in the middle of this, and if I do, I'll come back on my phone and just end the stream. Sorry, I don't have the 5G coverage to carry a stream from my phone very well. It's only when I'm in a city that I can do that. I'm out in the boondocks where I am right now. But as Mr. John Dacre, pardon me, as Mr. Not the John Dacre said, all those intros. Yep. Well, again, it's a throwback to the days of when Testify was around and we were doing the Trash Compactor show. We used to have like half an hour intro cycles. So I'm working my way back up to that. You know, prepare yourself. You may find yourself with a half an hour long intro segment. But hello, Drake Tungsten. Yes, we're hyped for this. We're hyped for this. This is a good topic to talk about because a lot of people have complained about this since, like, as far back as I can remember, was the Japanese influence on Power Rangers. Like, oh, the suits, the giant robots, the rubber monsters. Yeah, that's Tokusatsu. That is, you know, that's what it is. Minaho asked, what the fuck was that Ricada video? Well, on the Flashcast about 2 years ago now, Mr. Ricada had an itch. And he, for some reason, was topless laying in bed during the Flashcast. I'm not sure what the situation was with that, but for whatever reason, that's the way he found himself when he turned his camera on. Now, during his itching segment, he bounced up and down while he was itching himself. Now, it looks awfully curious, and I couldn't help but put that hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper song in the background. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you missed that, you got to go back through the intro cycle. I'm sure people have seen enough of it now. 10 seconds is too long sometimes. Anonymity 2 is here. Welcome aboard. Hail to you. That is a fun avatar. That's a fun avatar. My personal rival, Ellie Munoz, right? Munoz? Anime. Yes. Yep, all about that thing. The son of Jarrell, aka TJ, asks us, is it a thing where all the recent nerds have a form of attention deficit disorder? Or did years of MTV do this shit? No, I just, I spent 10 years in and out of hospitals not watching live TV because I hate live television. So just like, you know, my brain moves a little faster through ideas than it should. I do take attention deficit medication, but I didn't have it as a kid. It wasn't until I was stuck in a hospital all the time, staring up at the ceiling, that my brain just started to move a little too fast and whatnot. So, yeah, no, that's my excuse anyway. I don't know what the other guy's problem is. The Tree Goblin City says, TJ, get me a car radio. Yeah, man, we're here to talk about Power Rangers, believe it or not. I care about it. Only this much, though. It was a big thing for me as a kid because I saw the lore of Power Rangers. I saw the meaning of it. I wasn't, yes, the suits, yes, the kung fu, yes, the giant robots were fun, but the stories were what captured me. I remembered the lore of everything. Like, Zordon was a refugee. His planet was destroyed by Rita's army. That's right. There's been a 1,000-year war leading up to this, and the Order of Meridian was the group that Zordon led when he fled his world to Earth. And we met so many characters from that. Orion was part of that. The Trey of Triforia was part of that. And Andira, Andri, and anyway, the lady in Turbo that wore the belly dancer mask and the tube, she was part of the Order of Meridian. So was Dulcia, my personal favorite of all the Power Ranger lady people. Dulcia and her pipes. Oh, man. Dulcia and her pipes. Stick around. We'll probably talk about that. But, yeah, Power Rangers has this massive, massive lore. You know, Marvel and DC have their lore. Lord of the Rings has its lore. Power Rangers has its lore. I know a lot of people kind of got, you know, sidetracked with the colorful spandex and the rubber suits and giant robots. You're supposed to. It's a half-an-hour toy commercial. But for whatever reason, the people that, yeah, Cider, the boy in the plastic bubble. You got it, man. You got it. But so for whatever reason, the writers behind this decided that screw it, we'll put some high flying concepts in here. We'll put some Satan versus heaven stuff going on in this, and it slowly over time moved out of that weird alien war thing and into this eternal battle of good and evil based around this power to transform and don rainbow spandex. But this is because of the Tokusatsu influence. Now, if you don't know, that word is what Godzilla is. It's a type of film over in Japan. In fact, Tokusatsu means special effects. That's it. That's all it means. That's it. When we say Tokusatsu, it's not some grand overarching thing, some very poetic word. It's just special effects. That's all it is. And so Tokusatsu includes Godzilla, Super Sentai over there, as it's known, the Kamen Rider series, Ultraman, and so many other ones that involves the use of rubber suits, the use of wires, sparks, CGI even qualifies a show or movie for being Tokusatsu in Japan. Now that influence is very obvious in Power Rangers. We can see that front and center with the rainbow colored spandex, the giant robots, and the rubber suits we mentioned earlier. However, for the former showrunner of Power Rangers, Simon Bennett, this is a man who's helmed the last three series under Hasbro, and he's only just now left the brand from being a showrunner. We owe him all of the bizarre turns that Power Rangers has taken in the past 3 years. Now, I know a lot of you don't pay attention to that because it's a kid's show, whatever. But I feel like if you don't pay attention to children's media, you're going to get really weird adults. And this new Power Rangers series is no exemption of that. Power Rangers Cosmic Fury is what you're looking at right here. Now, I want to note to you that Green Ranger all the way over on the left here, that won Power Rangers a GLAAD award. That's the Gay League Against something, or I don't know. And so they I'll get to that Twitless about him. Sorry, I have the ADD kicking in. I'll talk about that a little bit here. So what happened is that this Power Ranger right here tore off her skirt in the first episode of Power Rangers Dino Fury that aired in 2020. Yeah, the 2020 proper. And so they won a GLAAD award for that because that character later came out as lesbian. Now, I want to just kind of stress this to people who may not be familiar with the Power Rangers franchise as a whole. This is the 30th anniversary you're looking at. It's the 30th Power Rangers team you're looking at right here, okay? Now, these characters right here are sort of a move over, an upgrade, a hand me up into these new suits right here. These didn't exist in Japan. This is the first series to not pull from Japanese footage for the suits. And you can see that. You can see how ugly this is, right? So Power Rangers is sort of running on this SJW fuel right now. They've shown us the Gold Ranger here, or at least the yellow with man boobs. You see him next to Red here, second in from the left. That fella, he's the first Black Gold Ranger. Now, I know that makes a ton of sense, but he's the first Black Gold Ranger underneath there. But the thing is that when Simon Bennett, as a showrunner, decided this character's fate, he spent 2 million years or more frozen at the bottom of a lake. So while most of the important stuff happened during the 90s and early 2000s in Power Rangers, like Zordon sacrificing his life to purify evil in the galaxy, yeah, this guy was sleeping on that. And apparently there's these omnipresent guardians called the Morphin Masters that just let that guy stay there at the bottom of the lake for 2 million years. Just chilling, just hanging out, literally, in a fridge at the bottom of the lake. It's amazing. This is the genius you're working with, okay? All right? Now, the Red Ranger, here's the kick. This is the first canon female Red Ranger. We've had replacement Reds that were females, and we've had US Reds that were modified suits, if you could say that. They're more like motocross gear with a really screwed up helmet on it for Reds. But this is the first true blue, ground up Red Ranger on the good guy side anyway. That's a female, all right? So that's cool, right? We're gonna make a big deal about that because the Force is female or something. I don't know. And so the problem with this is that they just revealed to us at the end of Dino Fury, where she comes from. This is where this character comes from. That she was an alien the whole time. So that means for the better part of 40 episodes, she was an alien and had no idea that she had like piccolo tentacles hanging out of her head. Okay? This is the showrunner we're dealing with. Okay? By the way, no whitey on the good guy side, by the way. All the bad guys, white and blue-eyed at that. Even the baddest of the bad is a white lady with like platinum blonde hair and like icy blue Emma Frost eyes. Like it's really on the head with what they want to tell you about all this. So, but this is exactly where we're at though, is that Simon Bennett, now that he's free of the IP, wants to tell everybody his actual thoughts about it. And so he went to Twitter and started replying to people that were making comments about Cosmic Fury, I assume in the positive. So thankfully, bounding in the comics, Spencer Piccoli, a fellow weeb, a fellow Tokusatsu enthusiast, Kamen Rider fan, in fact, provides us this wonderful capture of the story. Now, what it starts off with here. Now, this is funny because this is from a parody series, but this is why they have like stripes on their belts and stripes on their collars. Is to denote that they're American. But anyway, so the article starts off with here. In the latest example of Hollywood's inability to understand just why fans are unashamed to unironically enjoy their favorite franchises, Power Rangers executive producer, showrunner, Simon Bennett recently shared, he's a former, by the way, shared his belief that in order for the franchise to reach a large mainstream audience, it must move away from its tokusatsu roots. Can you imagine if like Pepsi just stopped making soda and started making toasters and phones for old people? You know, the jitterbug phones? Imagine if Pepsi just did that. Just, yeah, we're done with soda. We're going to make toasters and jitterbug phones. That would make a lot of sense, right? That would be great for their whole company. That wouldn't be like a breakneck change in attitude at all. But that's what you're dealing with right here. The guy who ran Power Rangers has this contempt where brightly colored spandex, people jumping around beating the tar out of some dude in a rubber monster suit. That can't reach a mainstream audience. Can't do it. Just it's impossible. It's impossible. It's not like Marvel, the cinematic universe, has ruled movie theaters for the past 10 plus years until recently, doing roughly that. I mean, without the rubber suits. But no. It's impossible. It's impossible. So, yeah, Manaho says, I saw that on Twitter, tearing the skirt. It's still cringe. It really is. It just makes no sense. Trini, the first Yellow Ranger. Remember the saber-toothed tiger ranger? Yellow one? In the Japanese footage. So when you see her fighting, that's a guy in Japan. The character in the show where the footage of her fighting comes from is a guy character. So from the get-go, males being in the suit is a thing. So the skirt wasn't a thing. Pink wore a skirt, yellow didn't, if you recall. So it's been going on all throughout. Sometimes the yellow's a dude, sometimes the yellow's a lady. Most of the time they're ladies. But in Japan, they don't treat it like that. Most of the time, yellow's a dude. It's very rare that yellow's a lady. And so when they cut up the footage over here, that's a dude. I don't understand why they had to do that. It's stupid. But Son of Jarrell, a.k.a. TJ, says here, I'm trying Cider, but we're talking about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, bro. You're pushing 40. No, I know. But like I said, if you don't care about this stuff at like the children's level, you're going to have really weird adults. You're going to have people that just think they're dogs. They're otherkin. They have two souls in them, or, you know, they need to start hacking and slashing their body to pieces in order to feel like they're in their appropriate flesh, whatever is left of it after the process. You know, and this is a product of Power Rangers itself drifting away from the original Judeo-Christian message it had. The guy who started this was an Israeli American that came over here, Chaim Saban. That guy had put a lot of Judeo-Christian values all through the whole thing. When they introduced the White Ranger, he came down in the crucifixion pose. He had a big white light behind him, and he was slowly lowered, and there was a mystical music playing while he was lowered down. They made no bones about where they were drawing their inspiration from. They made no bones about Lord Zed being an amalgamation of like Lucifer and Baal, and then Dark Spectre, the big bad behind it all, being literally freaking Satan, like a lava monster Satan with the predator mouth. Like they made no allusions to that not being that. But like over the past, 8 years anyway, it's just completely divorced itself of that sort of moral-based writing, moral-based storytelling, if you will. Sorry, I'll spit it out eventually. But that's what you're faced with right now, is that it's gotten to the point where the guy running the show doesn't want it to have like rainbow spandex, giant robots, rubber suits, and fights. He wants it to be like a queer bait Riverdale, a CW show where a bunch of angsty people have interpersonal drama and occasionally something wonky happens that they have to punch stupid hard before the end of the show. They just don't. This is what he means about reaching a mainstream audience. We'll see a little later in his tweets that he actually addresses that very thing about stripping out all of that. That was what made Power Rangers great back in 1993. Like, a lot of people don't remember this, right? But Power Rangers was the first of its kind. There was not another show on television that was as fictional about people beating the hell out of each other. These were teenagers with attitude that were IRL footage. They were real people, like a movie, like Saved by the Bell. But then, like 10 minutes into the show, they transformed into likewise real characters, real actors, not CGI, not a cartoon, in suits that beat the heck out of a rubber suit guy, but he was meant to be a real monster in that suit, right? And then they had giant robot battles. And at the end of it, they reminded you to do your homework and drink milk and only fight when you're challenged and never start a fight. I think that was part of it. But again, I mean, like that's just, it's par for the course for that show when it first started. But that's what separated it from everything else. It was unlike anything else in children's programming and anything else in cinema at the time. When you really get back to that, yeah, sure, you had your Terminator, you had your Captain Power, but there wasn't a guy that literally donned a whole other appearance in order to ascend in power to beat the crap out of somebody else. It was Shazam. And that show was like way off the air by the time Power Rangers came on. That was like 1930s, 1940s that they were doing the Shazam show, live action. And there was nothing like it when it came out. That's why it took the world by storm. You can watch documentaries about the Power Rangers, and there's like rock stars like the guy from Poison and Sting and the guy with the long hair and the top hat that fits weird, Slash. And he's talking about like, my kids love this. And, like, it was really awesome because like it had all the fundamentals I wanted them to learn about being a good citizen. But then they were also beating each other's ass. It was great, especially when that badass Green Ranger showed up. Everybody wanted to be the Green Ranger. So that's what it was. It was a sensation. Nothing like it had ever happened. You can feel the footprints of Power Rangers all through media since it arrived. Every aspect of American culture has embraced a little bit of that energy that was there when it first showed up. I'll give you an example. In G.I. Joe, something that would compete with Power Rangers. Do you remember the accelerator suits in the first movie? You remember that? Those are Power Ranger suits. You may think that's an Iron Man suit, but that behaves like a Power Ranger suit. That's what it is. You could in comics, they have transforming heroes now. That got introduced through Power Rangers. The concept of that came from Power Rangers. It took the world by storm. And that's why it's important. Because what we did is we took this Japanese footage that this guy right here that's running this crap, or hates. We took this Japanese footage and we just dumped Americana on it. I mean, truckloads of America into these were California American kids with attitude that took care of their community and did well in school and prioritized their sports and passions. And above all, And above all, they lived the American dream. They were free to do whatever they wanted with their life, but instead of being selfish with that and wasting all of their time at the juice bar or the mall, they decided to lay their lives down on the line for a guy in a floating tube and a CD player with a speech impediment. Think about that. That's a pretty cool story to just hit kids in the 90s with. And I didn't even come into MMPR. I was born in 1989. I was a wee little dumb baby when MMPR showed up. I didn't catch it until Zeo. Zeo was my first Power Rangers. And by then, it was hell and gone from the original PSA stuff. Zeo was all about beating ass. That was all about punching motherfuckers. They had Zeo power kicks, Zeo power punches, Zeo power flying kick. It's just amazing. Amazing. But again, all because of the Japanese footage, because they prioritize that stuff. Minaho says, I remember the first pilot for Hayam Saban's show with Dark Makoskos. Yeah, that was the one that used the Kakaider footage, right? Live action Kakaider footage. Ryan Steele. That was before they went with VR Troopers. Because Jason David Frank was going to play Ryan Steele in whatever their Kakaider one was. But thankfully they didn't do that because that was god awful. That was very bad. Yeah, and so Nanji says here, it's such an easy formula that appeals to young boys. They're leaving so much money on the table. I don't understand what this theory is here. All right? Power Rangers cannot exist in that 1993 PSA environment. It worked really great when it arrived, but every other show was doing that as well. That was the environment. McGruff the Crime Dog was something people talked about. Ask a kid about any type of PSA character they know of. Maybe Smokey the Bear? Maybe. Probably not, though. I mean, you look around and you're faced with these characters that are just corporate projections. And that's what you're dealing with now with Power Rangers, especially under this model, where they're just going to strip out everything that makes it unique. It's just going to be another CW show. Maybe they wear color-coded clothes, right? So you know which one's which. But they're not going to wear their spandex because mainstream audiences don't appreciate tight clothing. Colorful, tight clothing. Big brains at work here. Big brains at work. Mr. Not John Dacre says, Cider's right. Adults need to be aware of the media that their children consume. It's really what happens. These are their foundational years. And a lot of kids are being plunked in front of Netflix and they're getting hit with the Chinese media that's being made for them. My nephew, when he was growing up, my sister would just leave his Netflix running. And so like this little guy, and it would just autoplay into this stuff that was teaching him Chinese. And it was made in China. He used to watch this show called Kiko and Speedo on Netflix. It was a special agent kid that summoned a talking car, and they saved the day because the car is basically God. And it's from India. And in that show, the episode that I tuned into, two hijackers write and sing a song, two plane hijackers write and sing a song about doing 9/11/2. And they play it with like ukuleles that have guns in them. That's what's on Netflix. That's what Power Rangers is competing with and trying to play around with, right? Trying to keep up with, if you will. When in reality, they need to embrace Dragon Ball Z, right? This has been the major failing of the brand. I understand where Simon's coming from when he says it's hard to reach a mainstream audience. Well, you can't have the violence of Dragon Ball Z or a Bruce Lee movie. You can't have that paired with, go home and do your homework and stay in school and don't do drugs, and slapstick comedy where you're putting pies in people's faces and fart jokes every time, like Ninja Steel. Ninja Steel was just wall-to-wall fart jokes. I'm not even kidding you. It was just every episode somebody was tooting. It was a tootathon with them. And they need to recognize that to reach this younger audience, they have to upgrade, not mature what they're doing. See, I used to think that Power Rangers would work better as like a Buffy light. But as I look at it, it really deserves to be more on Dragon Ball Z's level. The PSA stuff really great, but you can work that in a little deeper. like they did with the original Dragon Ball Z back when they had to rescript things. And Goku was more like Superman and less like, well, Goku. You can do that. You can sew all of that in there very nicely. And of course, the footage backs that up because Japan's all about your valiant, violent, and honorable hero that's just full to the brim with passion. You could do that. That's what worked for Zeo. It's what worked for In Space. It's what worked for Time Force and SPD. These ones that are sort of, kind of bland in their approach on what the visuals are, police and space-based Power Rangers. So it's a little bland on what it looks like. It's not giant robot animals or giant robot, origami or whatever. It's like police cars and stuff like that come together into a giant robot. So rather than like try to make that the central attraction, those shows made the character's journey through this war that they got sucked into, what that was like and how that changed their life. But nowadays, they don't do that. They want to rip off a skirt and be like, yeah, we're gay. Give us awards. That's all we need to do is remind kids to be gay. Woo! That's why you need to pay attention to this stuff. We'll go on into this now. So Bennett, who first served as the director of Super Ninja Steel. See that? There it is. So it's 4. I didn't know about Ninja Steel. So there's 4 now that guy screwed up. So all those fart jokes in Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel were because of this jackass. All right. So Beast Morphers, he did as well before moving to serve as the executive producer for Dino Fury. Oh, okay. So he was part of Once and Always, that horrible, horrible thing that we treat as fan fiction and not at all canon. If you haven't seen it, don't. I'm a fan of B movies and bad movies. Like Barbarella is my favorite movie. Don't see Once and Always. It will do brain damage to you. The virtue signaling is like a hammer and a nail right into your frontal cortex. Like they try to lobotomize you with the freaking virtue signaling in this, okay? Don't see this. Don't see it at all. So now I know who to owe for that. Roadkill of a presentation. Now, Cosmic Fury, this is the one with all the goofy suits. Now, what's interesting is you can see right here on these suits, right? The man boobs are built in. Isn't that nice? It's real nice that they built the man boobs into the suit. That's real helpful. I'm sure everybody out there really appreciates that. Oh, and Red has a skirt now, whereas we didn't see that on this initial one. See? No skirt. Nope, no skirt, just pants. So now she's got a skirt. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. So Simon opens up here and he says, by the way, he's a New Zealander. He's from down under. So he says, call me radical, but I suspect that those adult Power Ranger fans who are also diehard Super Sentai fans may be vociferous when PR, Power Rangers, deviates from its traditional source material, but are also a minuscule percentage of the viewership of the show, which is made for children. But he didn't say that children are the majority of the show, now did he? No, because they're not. They're not watching Power Rangers. They're not. The sales reflect this. Nickelodeon dumped them. Nickelodeon dumped them. It wasn't the other way around. Netflix didn't give Hasbro a better deal. Nickelodeon dumped them. What happened? It's amazing. It's amazing. So I need a drink. Hold on. So Damien replies with, made for children doesn't mean you can't have a mature approach, to be honest. Disney era, especially RPM, are proof of that. I think we can't blame anyone because they want the license they love to be better at their eyes. I think that makes sense. But yeah, RPM. I don't remember what that one stood for, but RPM was about the apocalypse. Yeah, the world had ended. People were dying. That show was incredibly brutal. It showed people being shot, like with lasers and dying. There was a lot of death in that show. Humanity had been forced into a domed city called Corinth. from the Bible. Get it? And basically, Skynet, that had taken over in a robot form, had produced these human hating machines. Like part of the Black Ranger in that series, the suit is black. His thing is he was kidnapped as a child by these robots and force converted into some cyborg super soldier to go into the domed city to kill everybody. He has a Terminator 2 out of control moment, like, you know, when Arnold Schwarzenegger loses control and he has, or Terminator 3 or whatever, when Arnold Schwarzenegger loses control and he's Run, John Connor, I've lost control. I got the reboot. That kind of thing, right? Remember that? He has that. That whole thing happens where he goes around killing people inside the city. That happens. His sister, who was blind, is kidnapped and brainwashed by the machines, physically altered, like the same cyborg surgery is done to her, and they take her eyeballs out and put in cybernetic ones. This is a children's show. This is a children's show, by the way, right? It opens up with a rich girl having her, the first scene we have is this rich girl who's trying to buy her way through the apocalypse. She goes on to be the Yellow Ranger. Her butler sacrifices his life. He stands in the way of a laser shot meant for her, and he dies in her arms. That's the first 10 minutes of the first episode. So when people diss Power Rangers, like, that's for kids, like, yeah, sure. But you got to make sure what's coming through that TV screen for your kids. That's a good story, but man, it was heavy right out of the gate. It was really hard. Red and his father have a conflict because the older brother of Red in RPM died fighting the machines. The father gave him the order to go into the heart of the enemy, and it's basically sent his son to die. And that was a massive part of their show where like the father was like ignoring the son's accomplishments, not acknowledging him as the Red Ranger doing well as a leader of the team, holding everybody together during the apocalypse. Father's completely ignoring him because he can't face the pain of losing his older son. The same way, he figures if he's that connected and this guy dies, he's going to be doubly, screwed over and he can't lead the city. It's in a children's show with spandex, okay? They literally have things on their wrists and they say, get into gear. This is all happening in the same show. It's why it's so bizarre to me why he's like, I can't reach a mainstream audience. Screw you. Screw you. Yeah, nothing can beat Sentai. It's the truth. See, over there, they get away with a lot more. They have a much more mature storyline series over there when they want to. But, yeah. Truth is here, and he says, my idea for Power Rangers reboot has always been Zordon was Red Go Ranger, telling the main cast about the legend of different Rangers from Go Ranger to Jetman, and now the Earth is the new target. Yeah, sure. I mean, all that old Sentai footage is out there, and we can 4K it now. We have AI that specializes in 4K upscaling footage, man. It's great. You can take this. They do this with the ye olde black and white footage, from way back in the days of the crank cameras. I'd had Jimmy on the crank camera, going away to getting the film reel for the newsies, the picture show, way back in the day. This is what you're dealing with. This guy gets it. He understands how to do this. He goes on. He says, personally, if I turned my head to Sentai and Kamen Rider past like current, it's because they are more what I search. They're more what I search. The mature approach, I think the mature approach, I think a license that should have to share it is vision. Wow, that's English, huh? Am I stupid, or is that not good English? I don't know. I think they're trying to say that you could do it, but you don't have to sacrifice the Sentai either, which again, RPM didn't. So Simon replies, and he's explaining, Super Sentai and Kamen Rider are fantastically imaginative and brilliantly successful. Yet he seems to speak about them like he absolutely hates every fiber of them. I love them. I don't. And also adore Studio Ghibli films. Yes. That's like when you ask somebody if they know what anime is and they say, you mean Akira? Yeah. That's like the boomer response. Oh, those Studio Ghibli films. Yes, they're quite beautiful. Yes. Good job, Simon. Good job. However, some aspects of these properties are specifically Japanese in their sensibilities and will therefore be of niche appeal in the US. Now I'll remind you, Simon is a New Zealander saying this. Right? Okay? So somebody else told him this. Some market research group came up with this cockamamie idea, you know? That's what you're dealing with here. That's what you're hearing is Hasbro's opinion of the brand coming out of his mouth. Now, he has a point. There is a show that they recently did called Sentai that they recently did called the Dawn Brothers. And Avataro Sentai Dawn Brothers is very Japanese. It is unmistakably Japanese, as you can see here, right? You have Don Momotaro here in the lead. He has a giant peach on his forehead, and all of his cohorts have golden peaches on their headbandy doodads. And these are characters modeled after Journey to the West, a Chinese myth, story, whatever, about a monkey king, about a monkey king. It's where Goku, it's the story of Son Goku. It's not Dragon Ball. It's what Akira Toriyama based Dragon Ball on. This is, and again, Dawn Brothers is also created to celebrate some centuries old peach festival that happens every 100 years or something. And it's also meant to like highlight that, as well as like performative theater in Japan. A lot of it is about performative theater. So I get where he's coming from, that these are hard to move over. I wouldn't try to move Avataro Sentai Dawn Brothers over to Power Rangers. I just wouldn't. We skipped over Die Ranger because it was very Chinese in its like expression. It's very Chinese in that. It's very hard to explain why teenagers with attitude are dressed up in Chinese get-ups, Chinese tradition, modeled Chinese outfits, That's why it was so weird when Neo Saban tried Power Rangers Samurai. I'll just bring that one up here. Hold on just a second. Because some of you may not be familiar, because a lot of people don't know that the franchise kept going after Mighty Morphin. They kind of checked out before Zeo got started even. So, but Power Rangers Samurai went for it. Nobody sat down and said, is it a good idea to make a white guy effectively a slave owner to a group of mixed ethnicities, like a Gap ad, the traditional Power Ranger makeup, So, yeah, no, they went for it. He's a lord. This Red Ranger right here, he's a lord. He's a white guy, and he's a lord. He's a lord over a black guy, the Blue Ranger, a black guy, a Hispanic guy, an Asian girl, and a woman from Nebraska. That's her thing. She's from a farm. So anyway, and he's like a samurai lord, and they're all like descendants of this ancient samurai clan. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that, Chief. I'm not too sure there were too many Aztec samurais. I don't know. Call me crazy. But it's every now and then they bite off more than they can chew. So I understand what he's talking about with this very Japanese in their sensibilities. But it's all in how you wanted to do it. They didn't have to make that guy a lord or a leader. He could just be a descendant of a samurai, and his bloodline calls upon him to take on this monster. And that's it. He doesn't have to actually be a lord and command these people like he's their slave master. It was a trip, man. It was quite a trip. So Simon goes on. He says, to attract a mainstream audience in the US, a process of cultural translation is required to Americanize the shows. This is what Power Rangers had been doing for 30 years. Yes. The Koreans do it as well. They call theirs Power Rangers as well. They take a lot more passion into it, though. They pile a lot of feeling into theirs. So they even go as far as altering the suits and the robots and refilming that stuff. It's just how it goes. That's what the adaptation is, Simon. You take something and you adapt it. I don't know. I don't know what planet I'm on, man. Like, who hired this guy? Who sat down and said the guy that hates Tokusatsu should be in charge of our Tokusatsu-based IP? That's a winner. Hasbro. MMPR, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as Simon says here. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers hit the zeitgeist in the early 1990s as it was new, and there was nothing else like it in Western TV land. Maintaining the scale of its success after the newness wore off was always going to be a challenge. No, not really. No. See, Power Rangers Turbo, which was the third, like, suit change, if you will, that the Power Rangers had as they were under Saban back in the 90s. Turbo got its own cinematic movie. Yeah, in theaters. Theater release movie. You could do that. It had bumps, it had issues, but what 90s movie for kids didn't, right? But that's what you're dealing with, is that this guy has like this clear contempt for what it is. He can't envision how people in spandex and giant robots and dudes in rubber suits could ever be popular on a global scale. Like, who would ever think that a rubber suit could be attractive to audiences around the planet? Who would think that just some dork walking around a miniature set would ever be entertaining to people around the world and have a timeless quality to it? Who would think that? Simon Bennett, everybody. Simon Bennett. No clue what a Godzilla is, I guarantee you. And he continues. He says, I think part of Hasbro's goal to move Power Rangers to being fully original is to reduce aspects of Sentai's style and design, which may be challenging for US kids. Aren't we mad at kids because they're not, like, cultured? Wasn't that a thing when we were growing up, that they were just mad at us because, oh, you can't find another country on the map? Hello? Why wouldn't adapting Japanese culture, translating that, Americanizing it, help kids to have like a more greater worldview of the world, of their human experience? Nope. We got to keep them in a snow globe and call them racist when they like stuff too much. That's what we need to do. Good job. Anyway, the superheroes in spandex fighting rubber suits trope is hard to sell to audience brought up on Marvel and Star Wars. So, no, it's not. Godzilla. Okay? It's not. It's not that hard. Again, it is, we call this thing the power of the suspension of disbelief. Okay? Now, believe it or not, this Marvel thing is fictional, Simon. Thor, the God of Thunder, isn't actually Chris Hemsworth. Might blow your mind, Simon, to learn that Iron Man is not actually Robert Downey Jr. It's CGI. It's not real. It's fake. Totally made up. Fabricated. But yet you love it. You even listed it here as a competitor or something to learn from. So I don't understand your angle here. It's called the suspension of disbelief. If you don't feel you're accomplishing that, get out of the way. There's plenty of people that would love to take a shot at it. Here we go, though. So, Simon Bennett, he goes on to say this. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Entwistle's previous output. Now, again, most of you probably don't know this, but Hasbro has hired Jonathan Entwistle. I don't know where he comes from. It doesn't really matter because it's never going to happen. He's been hired to reboot Power Rangers. Now, he promised a Marvel-style cinematic universe when he was brought on in 2017 to do this, okay? Now, by 2020, he didn't have a script for any of it. He didn't even have a roadmap. They had to bring in the lady from Teen Titans Go, one of the co-producers from Teen Titans Go. And now, even today, as of 2023, still no script, no cast, no outline, no bridge, no nothing. So Jonathan Entwistle has put kids through college doing jack shit on this reboot, right? And again, this reboot is supposed to advance Power Rangers into this Buffy light place. This place where there's no tokusatsu elements, I guess, as Simon's alluding to here. So he says, end of the effing world and I'm not okay with this are fresh and groundbreaking TV. They're not. They're not. You ever see Skins? Yeah. It's just that. I'm confident that if Hasbro can get the new Entwistle young adult Power Rangers reboot series off the ground. Now, I should say this. It was planned to be an MCU, like huge thing, multi-angled, different franchises within the franchise, like Guardians of the Galaxy style stuff. Like a central Power Rangers team, and then a bunch of other ones out there doing crazy stuff, and they all converge together. But nope. That's over. That's done. We're just doing a series now, at best, on Netflix. So maybe 8 episodes before it gets shit canned, if they even make it. So anyway, it'll be riveting. He says if they ever get it off the ground, it'll be riveting and original. No, it won't. No, not at all. So Dustin Phillips replies with, I hope so. My big concern is it's going to try and veer too far away from the franchise's tokusatsu roots in a misguided attempt to try and make Power Rangers the new Marvel Cinematic Universe or big nerd franchise in general. I don't think he's wrong on that because that's exactly what Simon wants to do. That's exactly what Simon wants. So, but Tenkage here, he says, I think some would be surprised how mature Kamen Rider and Super Sentai can be. And it still appeals to kids. It's great stuff. Well, that's, again, one of my favorite series that they put out is Deca Ranger. And one of the things I like about that is the Pink Ranger in that series wants to marry the Green Ranger. But he's dedicated to being a police officer. He's very serious about being a detective. He wants that promotion. He doesn't just want to be a Deca Ranger. He wants to be a proper detective and solve crimes on his own as opposed to part of the squad. So he's too busy focused on that. So throughout the series, she does everything she can to seduce him. Even in the middle of battle, she's bending over in front of him. One famous scene is she's in the bathroom taking a bath, and he knocks to come to find out if anybody's in the bathroom, and she doesn't answer. And then so he comes in to use the bathroom, she peels the curtain back to reveal herself, and you only see her from the side of her hip. So there's no nudity per se, but he's like nosebleed, surprised and stuff like that. But that's how Sentai is. They say bastard and bitch and Satan and God and all this other stuff in their shows unabashedly. They had Starfish Hitler, for goodness sake. Starfish, literally, it's a starfish with Hitler's face and a swastika on his belly. Yeah, that was real. That happened. And Kamen Rider beat the heck out of him. Yeah. Lord Nemesis says, Chinese, Japanese, look at these dirty. Yeah, exactly, right? I remember that's what got Monster Hunter banned in China. It was the Chinese joke. TJ says, First Blood, Rambo, Commando, Tales to the Crypt, Legend Never Ending, All the Rockies, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cops, Spies Like Us, Beetlejuice. I missed some. Oh, up here. Sorry. He said first, bro, I was young as fuck watching Cobra, Running Man, Red Dawn, Conan, Alien, Crawl, Death Wish, RoboCop 1 and 2, and I couldn't be no older than 4. What's your point? Well, that's what I'm saying, is that these things with a mature storyline are good. We want our children to be prepared for the brutality of the world. We don't want to hit them over the face with war footage. You don't need to show them Vietnam prisoner of war footage, but hitting them over the head with like these hard concepts, like I was saying in RPM about this brother and sister that were put at odds because one was brainwashed and almost completely converted into a machine, and the other one was most of the way converted, right? That is a very mature storyline, having a father grieving the loss of his son in the war against the machines that the humans are losing, by the way. That's good. I think that's positive. It's got to be balanced where the heroes win and show kids that, if you try hard in life, you can accomplish something. It's what we want to do. We want to impress upon them that effort is important. We don't do that with the new Power Rangers. We impress upon them that being gay and transgender and never judging anyone ever is the way to go. Because that works, right? That's what I'm getting at, though. Yeah, Simon is a new kind of con man. He really is. And you're looking at Tenkage says Simon thinks the kids are stupid. Exactly. That's decidedly what Power Rangers' problem is it thinks kids are dumb. That they're just going to appreciate the action and then be equally as entertained by the Three Stooges slapstick comedy from 1993 that's happening still. It's ridiculous. TJ goes on and he says, Catwoman, Phantasm, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Ghoulies, Porkies, it goes on and on. Of course. And again, you can see footprints of that in the Power Rangers series from the 90s. They had little bits of that, not like direct callbacks, but the Power Rangers went up against pirates at one point. They had to fight pirates. And a lot of that was kind of pulled from the Goonies kind of thing, where there was another group of people that wanted to get the pirates' treasure as well. There's footprints of Americana all through that original Power Rangers series, that original run with Saban before they sold it to Disney. Disney continued the tradition of heroes, but those heroes became decidedly more global in their appeal. These characters weren't as rooted in Americana. They weren't in California anymore. They were in cities that like New Tech City and Corinth and Turtle Cove and things like that. They were not in California anymore. They were somewhere else in the world. So they lost their kind of Americana. They kept that valiant, honorable, passionate hero vibe, but not really American in what they were like exuding. And again, I think that's an erosion. I think that's bad. We need to have characters that exude what it is to be an American. It's not hard. Being a confident explorer in any way, explorer of the world, of science, of other people, of machines, of, farming. What it is to be an American is to be an open-hearted adventurer, is to go out with all of your passion toward whatever you're curious about, toward whatever interests you, toward whatever lights your soul on fire. That's not hard to show kids. It's not hard to show little boys. What it does, though, is it teaches them to be valiant. It teaches them to fight for their beliefs. And by golly, that just makes them real hard to market to. And I don't know. BlackRock doesn't like it when they have to work. They don't like work. They like money. Yeah. Lord Nemesis says here, Cider is correct when he said Thor is not Hemsworth. Thor is Padme from Star Wars. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, Iron Man is a black. Exactly. And again, to Simon's measure, those are advancements in his mind. Those make it a wider appeal. That somehow little tiny Natalie Portman with that giant hammer made more sense than Chris Hemsworth going around it. Appealed to more people. Somehow. I'll never understand that. I get Robert Downey Jr. being swapped out, but I don't believe it was right to do it with Riri. They could have done anything other than that. He makes clones of himself all the time in the comics. He had a life model decoy once, didn't he? He stole it from Fury? Or copied it? I don't know. Or maybe he built his own and Fury stole it. I don't know. You'll tell me, though. I'm sure there's somebody out there that knows. But Simon responds to this. He says, I think this is only my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is not surely what Hasbro has been beating into his head for the past, 8 years. He's been working on these projects, right? Surely this isn't what went on in boardrooms. This is the conversations in the group chats of the production crew. He says, in order to reach a large mainstream audience, the franchise has to move away from its tokusatsu roots. It's this that has kept Power Rangers niche for so long with US audiences. It needs to do this in a way that is fresh and compelling. I have to read more. I want to respond, but I got to read more because he keeps going. He says, amazing. Got to leave Twitter. Another mass pylon as people choose to misread reasonably innocuous comments and attack the poster. This really is digital Deadwood. Ah ha. Hollywood reference. He works in showbiz. Ha 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 ha. So people's Kiramanep, whatever, anime name. You shouldn't be directing a tokusatsu franchise if you hate tokusatsu and your inability to take any criticism, even when it's productive, shows why this brand is dying. Yes. Nailed it. It's like, again, it's as though you're putting the new CEO of Ford, the guy that runs the Ford Motor Company, it's as though he hates trucks. It's like putting a guy in there that hates trucks, the most money-making part of the company. I don't understand who thought this, but he says, oh, I don't hate Tokusatsu. I admire it greatly. Is there anybody who believes that? I don't. My comment was that for Power Rangers to find a mass audience, to find mass audience success in the US again, I think it needs to move away from its Tokusatsu roots. So yeah, in order for Bruce Lee to be popular again, we should just remove all the Kung Fu. That's really was the drawback of the Bruce Lee movies. It prevented it from really getting out into the mass audiences, spreading worldwide, really. It stopped that Bruce Lee fella. You know, kept him so niche, right? All that Kung Fu and brightly colored stuff that he did. Stuff, you know? Yeah. He said, Simon goes on, he says, it took me some time to get my head around obviously plastic toys and rubber monsters were taken seriously. There was laughter at our Japanese footage meetings, where the excerpts selected by the writers were discussed by other heads of departments, rematching heads of departments, I guess, matching locations and action, whatever. And so, for remaking the footage. Okay. Yes. Tokusatsu, Super Sentai, is very much Japanese sometimes. It's a Japanese show. It's meant for Japanese children. So naturally, it would bring up Japanese culture. Most of that is relegated to the characters when they're not wearing their brightly colored spandex and when they're not in their giant robots. Most of it. So what they're complaining about is footage they would have to cut anyway. And again, he doesn't understand how these plastic toys, right? If you don't know, usually they actually create like 1/16th scale models of the machines, Zords, as we call them in the US. They usually make like 1/16th scales of those for actual footage. It helps make the suspension of disbelief work better. In recent series, they've really embraced the CGI, but for most of Super Sentai, these are just scale models that were used for the machines that then went on to make the robot suit, which was a man in a suit that was, you know, again, reproduced to look like it was a combination of all of those vehicles or robot monsters or whatever. And so he's complaining about this, right? Like, for him, he wants this Marvel cinematic thing, but he doesn't even want the giant robots in it. He doesn't want the transformation. He doesn't want the spandex, the helmets, the rubber suits, suit monsters. So I'm not sure what he's upset about here when he's complaining about this stuff. He just seems to be gloating that the Japanese put together a show with the resources they had available to them, and it worked. And he just seems to be gloating that Hasbro has a bigger budget to dump on CGI. It's really annoying. But yeah, that's what you're dealing with, is that this guy does not believe in keeping that stuff in Tokusatsu, in Power Rangers. It's still a mystery to me why you would hire this guy. Obviously, Hasbro has a completely different idea of what the Power Rangers franchise is. And somehow it has nothing to do with brightly colored spandex, giant robots, and rubber suits. I'm still beside myself, man. Still beside myself. Minaho says, imagine Star Wars to totally move away from Obi-Wan, Vader, and Skywalker. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like the Morphin Grid is female. It's menstruating time, you know? I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand what the point of the show is at that juncture. What have you done? You've made queer bait Degrassi. You've made queer bait Riverdale, a CW show. So like they have interpersonal drama. Oh, I'm gay, and everybody's mad at me for being gay, even though that's not a thing anymore. And oh, it's so hard being gay. Oh, geez. Oh, we better go kick a monster in the face who's not a monster. So what, is it just going to be evil teenagers that they got to beat the crowd out of? Oh, right. They'll be wearing red hats. Remember, they put Doomcock in She-Hulk. You think Power Rangers is above making the villains red-hatted bad guys? Yeah. MAGA country comes to Angel Grove. Amazing. TJ says, bro watched way worse shit. The internet just didn't exist in social media. Yeah, no, again, we're not in that era, right? But we've arrived here because we've sanitized children's media the way that this guy's talking about, the way that Simon is talking about, not you, TJ. We've sanitized media. This is why you have the alphas coming through, and they have nothing. The Zoomers are nihilists, right? Again, Power Rangers was a gigantic franchise until about 2008. Around the time Disney sold it back to Saban, it was a huge thing. They were they're still, but they were in the parade at Thanksgiving, the Macy's Day Parade. They were everywhere. Power Rangers was on ABC. It was on one of the 3 big networks you can get over the air back when that mattered, and that is foundational for people. For a lot of kids, like, again, here we are, the alphas, that generation, that's the generation new to the Zoomers, right? That's the millennials' children, basically. These kids, they grew up with like Steven Universe. They grew up with this new Marvel stuff. They grew up with Teen Titans Go. They grew up with a very sanitized childhood. And so now that's produced people that have no drive, no interest, no feel to go out into the world to prove themselves, discover what they're good at even. They don't see the point. They stay stuck in their phones buying things on there because that's good for the corporation. If the kids aren't paying attention, like Power Rangers, this is why they want to strip it out, okay? This is why they want to take out the Tokusatsu. Think about all the trouble you got into when you were a kid because you used to mimic the moves in Power Rangers. You and your buddies would get together, and at recess, you'd start kicking each other and punching and jumping and playing around really rough. And of course, the teachers couldn't have that because the insurance companies that covered the schools did not want to deal with the replication of violence charges and teachers letting children beat the heck out of each other, Fight Club style, So they, the violence in it is very imitatable. So is the honor, so is the passion, so is the characters, so are the characters that are presented. Everybody wanted to be Tommy, everybody wanted to be Jason. I don't know anybody who wanted to be Billy. There were kids that wanted to be Zach. One of my friends, Bats, your friend Bats over in Holy Legion, his favorite Power Ranger is Zach, the dancing black guy, the Black Ranger, the original Black Ranger. That guy. It's his favorite Power Ranger. Everybody wanted to be one of them, right? So this kind of stuff infects kids. So what little boys got out of this, right, was something to chase, something to look at. So you saw this physically strong-looking guy. He had muscles. Look, you saw Austin St. John on our interview over on John De La Rosa's channel on the Dank stream there. You saw him in the intro. He was built. That man was a tank, and they still put him in footage, right? So you see a physically strong man, and you see him with strong spiritual convictions. Is he quoting the Bible? No. But he's defending children, and he's upholding what we consider to be the greater good, which again, in the West is Judeo-Christian values, right? So you see these heroes exemplifying this as a child, and you want to be like them. You want to carry that torch. You may not get a helmet to put on your head, but you believe the message in Power Rangers that anybody can be a hero. All it takes is the desire to do so. And that, again, being a hero can be just as simple as opening a door for somebody who's got their arms full. Being a hero can be helping an old lady across the street so she doesn't feel wobbly in the crosswalk. It's not hard. And that's what Power Rangers emphasize, because as much as the Power Rangers were kicking butt on screen, right, kicking butt the monsters, beating the monsters up, you also saw them helping their community. Time and time again, the Power Rangers would be involved in some public outreach thing at the juice bar or their local meetup group throughout the series, throughout the franchise's history. It wasn't just MMPR. It was a staple, and it isn't anymore, but it used to be with the franchise to be a part of the community, to either orchestrate things or take part in the orchestration of them, or in some rare cases, in Power Rangers, they did talk about AIDS. They didn't go straight into it, but a character was sick. and people were dismissive of that person's illness, and the Power Rangers stood up for that. You can touch on this sort of cultural thing that's happening. You don't have to hit people over the head with it, like ripping the skirt off a male character from the footage being used for Power Rangers, right? That character, a Green Ranger, pulled her skirt off. That's a male character in the Japanese footage. There's no skirt on him. It's a male character. So there's no point. That was literally wasting money. But then you have the GLAAD award that was awarded to them for that specific scene. So you see where the priority is in children's media as far as Power Rangers is concerned. For real. And this is where your children get their idea of the world from. Power Rangers and other shows like it that feature live action people, live action footage. That's what kids grow to kind of expect up until they're about 8 or 9 years old. I know when I was a kid, until I was about 8 years old, I legitimately thought that Angel Grove was a place. I didn't understand why it wasn't on the news. Why this is great. Why aren't we building giant robots to fight to fight wars? Well, how come we don't have giant robots helping us? As a little kid, I thought that all was possible. Somewhere in the world, in the mountains of California, there's a floating head in the tube that orchestrates a group of teenagers with attitude to keep everybody on Earth safe. And somewhere on the moon, there's a lady with pointy boobs who's very angry about that. And that a lot of that is how kids see the world. So you go inserting all of this divisive, derisive, and divisionary ideologies into it, and you strip out all of the community stuff. You strip out all the moral-based writing in it. What do you have? You have good consumers who follow politics and don't argue with their authoritarian leaders. They're not shown how to do that. It's not even a thought in their head. No, it's cool, man. This is why I care about this stuff. This is why I'm passionate about it, because if you're going to build media for kids, this is why I came to Comicsgate. This is why I'm fascinated with the Iron Age. It's why I'm trying to build my own Power Rangers, like real life, put on a helmet. I'm working on it. I'm working on my own Power Rangers. Like, it's not going to be called Power Rangers. It's called the Rescue Soldiers. But this is a prototype. This is me getting back in touch with I did auto body in high school. And so I know how to paint all this stuff, how to do the Bondo, how to sand it all nice and smooth and whatnot, And so I'm doing it. I'm going to make my own. It may not be like a half-hour television show or whatever. It may not be anything like, the Power Rangers movie or the show or anything, but maybe I could eke out 5 minutes twice a year of doing something neat in live action. Huh? It's possible. Give it a try. That's the spirit of it. Just give it a try. So that's why I care about this stuff. It's what brought me into Comicsgate. It's what keeps me interested in the whole independent media movement, is because children consume the stuff that we're creating, or at least they're supposed to. So we've got to make sure that we're creating things that matter to them and that they're going to build their idea of the world out of in a positive way. It's like children today are afraid to take risks. I mean, like even little risks, like eating food that their mom wouldn't let them as a kid. That's where they're at now. They're petrified of making a decision without some authoritarian telling them what to do, some teacher, some community leader that's been assigned by social media prominence and importance. Like Logan Paul telling them things matters, That's where we're at. Well, they brought him back. They brought him back for Cosmic Fury. Lord Zed's back and all of his stupid grandeur. We can. I'm not going to play the trailer with the audio, but I'll play the trailer with Cosmic Fury trailer. There we go. So it's they brought him back for Cosmic Fury, and it's real rough. It's real rough. Let's see. All right. So this is the intro. This isn't a trailer. This is the new opening for Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. It'll go live on Netflix. sometime in September, I guess. Oh, I don't have a. All right, I'll just put that there. Iceberg. That makes sense, right? But yeah, so Lord Zed's back. Here's the opening. I'm not gonna play the music behind it, but here's the opening. So up there he is, right there. He was quick. He was quick. Let's go back. Let's go back. Over there. Up. Lord Zed's back. They're so uncreative. Like this guy was Zordon, the guy in the tube, in one of the final episodes of Power Rangers in Space. I think it's called Countdown to Destruction, Part 2. Andros, the Red Ranger, my favorite Red Ranger, has to destroy Zordon's energy tube where he's encased and thus kill him. Because the Power Rangers are on the verge of defeat. Goodness in the universe is on the verge of defeat. The powers of evil have them cornered. It's almost over. And Zordon sacrifices his life, sending a gigantic purification wave throughout the entire galaxy. And we see the villains change into normal human beings. And the machine ones, they just turn to dust or pillars of salt. So Zordon's explosion hits Lord Zed and Rita and turns them into soccer mom and soccer dad. I'll show you the footage here after we watch this. So they went back in time and pulled this guy out. This is actually canon in Dino Fury, the last series before Cosmic Fury. Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury. They're so original. They're so original. But yeah, they went back in time and pulled this asshole out. Yeah, before he got purified. Completely nullifying the Jesus-like sacrifice of the central leader of the Power Rangers, the father figure of the entire franchise. It's genius. Genius. Yeah, here's the Red Ranger. He's wearing his iParty suit, his costume, his Halloween costume that his mom made. Looks very nice. Yes, very nice. Pajamas, gonna go to the sleepover after they have their kung fu battle. Such good kids. Yep. Well, she's not the Pink Ranger in this. She's the Red Ranger. Is this a fan-made one? I think this is fan-made. No. But yeah. So, yep. Yeah, so they brought Billy back. All right. So Billy from the Blue Ranger from the original series. Yep, he's back. David Yost, he's back in his original suit. Now, at the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, before it became Power Rangers Zeo, Goldar destroyed the power coins. He crushed them into dust. Adam, the replacement Black Ranger, the second Black Ranger after Zach, he went through like a horrible time having his coin rebuilt, and it almost killed him to use it once. All right, they showed this in Space. He shows up as backup to the team, and there's like lightning coursing over his body, and there's sparks flying, and he's like, inside the suit, just random damage is happening to him because the instability of this coin is barely doesn't matter now. Fuck it. It's Cosmic Fury. Fuck it. So Billy's back. That's great. This is whatever. This is not from the Sentai. They just made this horrific Grandpa Munster looking tentacle monster creature. They just pulled that out of their ass. And Zed again, and yeah. So they want to use the Zord footage, okay? So this is what they did. They stripped out all the suit footage because Q Ranger, the donor series to Cosmic Fury, meaning the footage that we're going to get from Cosmic Fury, Q Ranger has 12 Power Rangers in it. And Simon was too scared to try and put together a 30-episode series spread out over 2 seasons about 12 Power Rangers. So you just can't tell all their stories. I say this as a lifelong fan, appreciator, whatever you want to call it. They're dicks in spandex. It's okay if they're not like Shakespearean level deep, if they're not like, Tolkien level thought out deep. It's okay if they're a little surface area, okay? 60% of what they do on screen, those characters, is inside of a suit that you can't see their face. It doesn't matter. In fact, I'll show you what Q Ranger is. It's way better than this. The suits are amazing. We'll just put this on in the background. It's nuts. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. See, this is what we're missing. You get this neat Zord footage, right? Neat Zord footage, but we're gonna miss out on all of this. All the suit footage, and I think that's a crime. They're cool as shit. Q Ranger is awesome. As I said, there's 12 of them, but the story takes place after the villain has taken over the entire universe. And there's only 6 of them to start, then it works up to 12 toward the end of it. All right? To fight back an entire universe worth of bad guys. And they even use time travel to do it. All right? It's nuts. They have a way cooler transformation than what Power Rangers Cosmic Fury is going to do. One of the Q Rangers is a literal cage fighter. He's an MMA fighter, a space MMA fighter. It's we can't do it. We can't make sense of it. It's too Japanese. We can't make sense of this. Look at that. Oh, it's too Japanese right there, guys. That's way too American kids would be way too confused by all this. Like, look, they don't know what MMA is. They don't know what ring fighting is. They got no clue. None at all. No idea what WWE is, none of that. Nope, not a clue. There's even an Orange Ranger in this one. Yeah. Yep. You see, they got this little launcher on there. Now, American kids would be totally mystified by that. Oh, it's a 2-part thing? Oh, it's too confusing. American kids, they're dumb as a box of rocks. They're never going to get it. It's like Perret says, if he can't ride, then why does he have the job? I don't know. I really don't know. The guy just hates this entire franchise. Try to sink it since he arrived in it. I just don't get it. Yeah, the Purple Ranger. He's an old guy with a back problem. Even when he's got the suit on. You see how they want original and fresh. Nah, can't do that. Can't do this. This would inspire little boys to go out and improve the world. They might feel like they have a duty to their community, to their family, to their friends, to the future. We can't have that. Just can't. Little boys with ambition. Ugh. Perish the thought. Look at this. We're going to miss all of this. All of this footage is not going to be in Q Ranger. You're just going to get some dicks running around a forest with a wire team. That's it. Look at this. There's like a little 10-year-old Power Ranger and he's using a scarf to kick the ass of a monster. Not going to see that. You're not going to see it. Look, he even gets giant like Ant-Man. See? Not going to be in Cosmic Fury. A winged pink ranger flying around, shooting a gun. Nope, not going to be in Cosmic Fury. Not a single frame of this right here is going to find its way into the American footage. Not a single frame. This is the Purple Ranger. This is the old guy. He's a dragon. He's a literal dragon with a rifle cane. A rifle cane. That's what you're dealing with. It's amazing. It really is. So sometimes I wonder how these corporations even like they manage to hold on to their okay, this is the right one. All right, here we go. I got the right one now. Okay, here we go. This is the actual one. So as you can see, they're wearing the proper color now. Pink is not pink, she's red. So here we go. Now I got it right. So this is their thing. This is their morph. So you saw the other guys with their slingshot. So they put their little bouncy ball, super bouncy ball, they clip it over. Because American kids are dumb. They couldn't handle the other way. It's too dumb. You see, they project their power. See, a little projector thing. It's like a flashlight for your wrist. How neat. Then they just kind of fall into the Ranger power, much like their career in acting. And yep, now we're Power Rangers. That was neat. That was fun. So there you go. Yep. As I said, none of the suited footage from Q Ranger gets through. Instead, we're getting this goofy shit. And then there's the Champagne Ranger, inexplicably here. Because he's just, that's what they do now. It's a Champagne Ranger. Yep. And there's a drone fight, and this happens, and there's cheesy YouTube green screen explosions. But yeah, it needs to get away from its Tokusatsu roots. That's the problem with it, really. That's the problem. I don't know. I just think it's easier to do it the way that Power Rangers has been done for the previous, 25 years up until that point anyway, before this weird mess got started, or at least really showed up, surfaced in the brand. I just think it's easier to go that way than to go through all of this crap where they just, it looks like something that like I could make on like my little nothing budget, my little shoestring rub 2 pennies together budget. Like I could make that, I don't understand why a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation can't pull anything off that's better than this. It's the typifying quality of weak. Yeah, it looks like they filmed in your yard. Yeah, it does. It looks like it's shot on Shidio. Like, okay, sweetie, we got the camera. Do your tricks now. We got lunch at 3:30 and your play dates with Jimmy at 4. All right. Yeah, I could probably write. Probably, maybe. I don't know. I've never tried my hand at it. Yeah, that's what you're looking at. That's what you're neck deep in with this. But that's what I have to say about it. I think it's wrong to abandon the Tokusatsu roots of all of this. I mean, I transformed myself into a Power Ranger. AI art is a fancy thing. So I don't think it's real art. Let me clarify that. This is a AI generation that I edited and made look cool. But yeah, they could put your face in it now, like semi-accurately. I just don't understand why Power Rangers can't evolve this way. They can't grow up a little bigger than whatever the hell is happening with this right here. I just I'm at a loss. I'm absolutely at a loss. But this is what a multi-billion-dollar, like in 1993, Hayao Saban did not have anywhere near the budget or anything that Hasbro has at their disposal. They have a whole TV movie production house in their corporation. Hayao Saban didn't have that. Saban Brands was just the Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, and tattooed alien fighters from Beverly Hills. That was it. They didn't have anything else. They started making music after the Power Rangers because the Power Rangers demanded so much music. They started releasing it, and it evolved into other things. But and somehow it looks worse. It looks worse than 1993. I just don't know how you do it. Daimo Z is here and says, I hope Subaraya decides to swoop in and push more Ultraman toys and TV shows on American TV just to compete with Power Rangers, since most of Power Rangers' problem is due to the lack of competition. Well, it could be that too, but it really never did have competition. Apart from what Saban put together to compete against it, but that's in-house. Nobody ever tried to make their own Power Rangers, and it's not illegal to. In fact, their trademark only controls you can't put multicolored spandex people with helmets into a giant robot together, and you can't have a wrist-mounted changer called a morpher. You could have a wrist-mounted changer and call it anything else. You can't call it a morpher. That's it. That's all they can control. Of course, the name, that's what they can control on that end. But they can't control like the multicolored people in spandex thing. They can't control that. So I don't understand why nobody stepped up to do it. And again, if you don't know, Ultraman is a Christian brand. That's right. The original creator of Ultraman explained that the story of Ultraman is meant to mirror the story of Jesus Christ. When Ultraman sacrifices himself to stay on Earth and continue fighting and protecting the love on Earth, the hero said that's meant to mirror Jesus Christ's sacrifice to redeem the world. I don't know. I tend to give the Japanese a little more credit than, haha, funny toys, funny rubber suits, spandex, aha. Minaho asks, so Cider is a new Pinky Power Ranger? Sure, why not? Kings and emperors, samurai, knights, they all used to wear pink. It wasn't until the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s that pink was commercialized for girls. It was around the time corporations wanted to really push into children's marketing, and so they just decided that boys were blue and girls were pink, and it just went from there. Barbie solidified that. So, and I'm taking it back. Pink's back to being a man color. I mean, I don't know, dude. I think it looks cool as fuck. This is just AI. This isn't even me trying to like hire a proper designer and put something together that makes sense. So there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the background that they just don't acknowledge about all this, you know? And that's, you know, oh, the pink thing. Yeah, no. Like again, part of our history. And why would the corporations want to let us know that they stole a whole color? Oh, and scientifically speaking, pink doesn't exist. So it's even a more awesome color. It's like an even more badass color. Like scientifically, pink doesn't exist. Yeah, pink's in your brain. That's it. It's amazing. Minaho asked, "Why do you look like Tucker Carlson in the thumbnail?" Yeah, well, see, that was fun. That was fun. I kind of look like Tucker Carlson, but like not at the same time. I look like me at the same time. I don't know. I like it. But yeah, so expect if they do get their reboot off the ground, expect Power Rangers to go downhill faster than it already is. But I highly doubt that they're going to, you know. Yeah, well, there's magenta, there's fuchsia, there's all these different pinks, but you know, it's still pink. Sorry, it's still pink. But that's just it. That's they're going to drive this downhill, trying to turn it into a CW show, one of those Arrowverse spin-off things, like Legends of Tomorrow. Expect it to go that route, where like they take on the spirit of the animal they're meant to represent, and that's it. You know, it makes me sad because I see so much potential with the brand, especially now with all that's available to us with the assistance of AI in the department of like filmmaking. So I just I don't know. It's a little depressing, I guess, but I can hope that I can put something together to compete with it, right? You know, the rescue soldiers may one day be able to stand on their own as competition for Power Rangers, if it even exists by that time. So that's my hope anyway. We'll look forward and see what happens, you know. The future is looking bright. 'Cause I'll just show you. It's part of my avatar. See if I can find it here. Yeah. So this is I'm working on two self inserts. One of them is supposed to be a joke. The other one's supposed to be semi serious. And it's Cider Max, Rescue Soldier Cider Max. It's a manga. And it's a self insert. Not one to one. It's not about a guy in Maine. But I lend this my name and some of the awful things that happened to me in my life. That you know, like I say, I turned my demons into angels. So this Cider Max is going to be my attempt to take on the Power Rangers brand. So look for Rescue Soldiers and the Colossals and lots of other brands, lots of other comics, and excuse me, lots of other manga that I put out. The Rescue Soldiers are my Power Rangers, and I want to see them beside my superheroes in every universe I create. I think the Power Rangers had a really good message for young people and kids. You know that anybody can be a hero. You know, and that's the truth behind the rescue soldiers. And why they're called the rescue soldiers is that their priority is rescuing people. Fighting is always the second hand to them. What draws them into a conflict is being there to help people and then something attacking them while they're doing that. The rescue soldier's priority is to save life. One of the slogans I have for it, and I'm going to put it in the trailer when I'm finally done printing out making the helmet for this. This right here. This is just a prototype to get me back into working with plastics and paint and things like that. This isn't going to be in the production. This helmet up here will be. But I want to film this trailer where like the camera's kind of moving slowly by the helmet and some dim lighting over the top, and it's like me with an echo over it, and it says, "There's an awful lot of talk about taking lives. How about we save a few first?" You know, and I think rescue soldiers. Yeah, rescue soldiers. But yeah, that's it for me. That's all I wanted to bitch about and talk about and whatnot. I'm a Power Rangers guy. I was anyway, and I think it's important. I think it's valuable to the American experience because again, There isn't anything like it. American literature, American heroes, the stories we created, the foundational comic book characters like Superman and Batman, and Iron Man, and Captain America. None of them are like the Power Rangers. Until they arrived, we never had American heroes that transformed, used kung fu while they were transformed into a different. Well, we did have Shazam, but they didn't transform into. They weren't regular humans or enhanced humans, rather, in like a combat situation, teenagers and stuff. So I think it's important. I think it's important to show kids, like slightly older kids, doing stuff to protect and promote and proliferate their community. That's lost now on the brand. They got to turn it into a CW show. Perrette says, I think it's cool how everyone is inspired by PR to make their own things. Yeah, you can take whatever you want out of it. There's people that make giant robot shows out of it based on it, that the machines themselves are alert. And they go about saving the day and combining into a giant robot themselves without the assistance of the multicolored spandex kids. You know, so yep, yeah, it's very much like Go-Go 5 and Windspectre. Rescue Soldier is actually in the lyrics of the Go-Go 5 theme song. That's where I got the name. It's from the theme song. You can go listen to it right now. And it's Rescue Soldiers is part of the bridge, and I like that. I like that term. So, yoink. Thanks, Japan. But that's it for me. I've been at this for a while. I'm a little itchy in the throat, barking about Power Rangers all this time. So, but yeah, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope we can have another discussion about this when I have the Power Ranger thing I'm working on. The Rescue Soldiers a little more formalized, a few more pieces together. Maybe not the live action pieces, because I still got to find a person to sculpt that helmet, and I got to do it in a way that I can wire it up so that the max on the side of the helmet lights up in real life. That's supposed to be the point. That's why it's on the side of the helmet, because it lights up, so you know which one they are. But anyway, I hope you have a good night, and good luck out there. Be safe. And I'll probably have a closeout message at the end of the 90s anime thing that I played. So brace yourself.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
I believe in you. Good luck out there. Hi.